Hello, friends. Welcome to Lead Empowered TV, conversations that transform how we lead, work, and live. I'm your host, Nathan Mitchell. Today's guest has been on a journey to creating true work-life balance that has been 5 years in the making. It's taken her from the hustle of raising a family while owning a boutique and multiple Airbnbs to embracing the quieter rhythms of countryside life, doing all of this while building an online business that she genuinely loves. Along the way, she's learned this firsthand. Growth without systems leads to burnout, not freedom. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited about today's conversation. Joining me is Coleen Stubbs, founder of Simplified CEO Systems. Colleen helps midlife entrepreneurs turn backend chaos into simple, customized CRM systems so they can grow their business without sacrificing their energy, focus, or their personal lives. Colleen, welcome to Lead Empower TV. I'm so excited to have you here today. How's your week going so far?
Thank you, Nathan, for having me. Going good. It's an exciting week.
It really is. You know, Colleen, I'm anxious to get started into our conversation this evening because I know that you have a ton of value to bring to my audience, and I'm really excited about what you're going to deliver to them and myself today as well. So, Colleen, many entrepreneurs, especially those leaving corporate, and there's so many leaving corporate now, right? I mean, so many job layoffs and those kinds of things. So you have people that are becoming entrepreneurs out of necessity at the end of the day. But a lot of these corporate individuals, like I was, over probably a decade and a half ago, we're used to having departments, processes, and systems already in place. And then when you leave that corporate environment, it's kind of like culture shock, right? Like, oh no, I don't have access to those kinds of tools anymore. So what's the biggest system shock that you find these individuals experience when they're starting that path to starting their own business and they don't know what they don't know at the end of the day?
Right. I think you hit it on the head. In corporate, the systems are invisible because they're already built in, HR, IT, finance, project management, things like that. You just do your little part and hit send, and you don't worry about the rest of it. So as a founder and an entrepreneur, you become every department overnight. Like it's on you. And it's not like you don't have a vested interest. Like if you don't do it right, it's your paycheck. It's not something that somebody in the next department is going to fix for you. So the shock is realizing if you don't intentionally build your own infrastructure, you're going to be running on sticky notes, memories, and stress. And honestly, that's the reason a lot of people are leaving corporate, is because the stress. They don't want to be doing something that they don't love, right? So I help these entrepreneurs to recreate the corporate level stability in a simple and right-sized way. It doesn't have to be huge. You don't start out maybe needing HR, but you do start out needing some systems in place.
Yes, I mean, a lot of these individuals that are leaving the corporate world, to your point, some of them may find peace in this process, right? Having the opportunity to build a business that they love, that serves their passion and fuels their purpose at the end of the day, which is I'm so grateful that there's people like you that are out there that help get them on the proper footing out of the gate, right? When I left the corporate world back in 2012, 2013, and started my first leadership coaching business, there were so many things that I didn't know. I made so many mistakes along the way, right? I didn't have somebody like, you, a Colleen, kind of guiding me on that path to creating the systems that would ultimately set me and my business up for success. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that that's so true. I think when you start, you think, this is what I want to do. When you really start with the end in mind, you know that that's what you want to get to, but you don't realize all the nooks and crannies that you can fall down in when you don't have your systems in place and your infrastructure set up already. And I think there are so many brilliant midlife entrepreneurs that really just want to do those things, but then they also don't really want to get tied up in learning all kinds of new things. They just want it set up and running for them, which they should be able to do, right? And so that's what I help a lot of them do, is just to set things up kind of one and done. I mean, I like to say one and done. It's done so that you can simply clone it or simply create the next step with ease, without the overwhelm, without the burnout that they were experiencing corporate. I can't hear you.
I muted myself. There I am.
All right.
So as business owners begin to gain momentum, and that may be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the road, I found in the world of entrepreneurship, things pretty much take about twice as long as I originally expect them to. And I'm fine with that. So it's definitely good to have, obviously some funds available to weather, those early stages of starting a business for sure. But as they begin to gain momentum, what are the first signs that their back end systems just can't keep up, and ultimately burnout is potentially around the corner for them in the early stages of their business at the end of the day?
Well, I'm going to back up to the finance part of that question, because I love that. Every time that I built a business, and this is my 9th business, but every time I built a business, I made sure that I had enough money to fund my business for a year. And then I didn't look at the money. Then I went in and built relationships. I got out there and I was the face and the voice of my business and built the relationships and nurtured those people that became my clients. And then at the end of the year, I would go back through and do the books. And what do you know? Because I had been able to prioritize being the face and voice of my business, the funds did come in. I was able to continue going. But just like any other business, just because you're building online doesn't mean there's not going to be charges incurred, right? You have to be ready for that. And you have to understand that you have to put into it so that you can build something valuable. So the second part of the question is, the problem is that leads are coming in, but the follow-up's usually inconsistent. You may be answering the same questions repeatedly or spending a ton of time in your inbox, but you don't want to do that either. Or maybe you're duct taping tools together or stacking tools together, trying to figure out how to plug and play different things so they'll talk to each other, like spreadsheets, DMs, notes. Nothing feels reliable. And you're never quite confident that everything's connected and running smoothly. And that's the biggest sign. You're busy all day, but at the end of the day, your business still feels really fragile, right? And that's the moment that systems become a necessity and not a nice to have.
So, Colleen, I'm curious because, you were in the hustle and bustle of owning a boutique and multiple Airbnbs, and then you transitioned and built Simplified, CEO Systems. What was that? What kind of, I want to hear a little bit about your backstory, because we had the time to talk through this a little bit today. But what got you out of the whole boutique Airbnb space into, building an infrastructure for business owners like yourself that would work for them? I mean, I've heard your story before. Maybe we need a little bit more of a condensed version, but I'm sure that our guests would love to hear it.
Sure, I'll give you the short version. I built 8 businesses from concept to profit, sold them for a profit. The last 2 I sold, I actually cried when I sold. I didn't want to sell them. I actually loved them, and I had figured out how to run multiple businesses successfully without burnout and overwhelm. I sold them to take care of my mom. She had received a medical diagnosis that she would be homebound and need medical care 24/7 for 10 to 15 years. And so I sold my businesses to take care of my mom, and I have 0 regrets in that. I was not there when my dad passed. I wish I had been able to be there. But for my mom, I was able to spend those last 5 months with her. Now, we did not know it would be 5 months. And so I sold my 2 businesses, my Uptown Boutique and my boutique Airbnbs, so that I could be her caregiver. After she passed 5 months later, I really sat with the thought of, what do I want to do? Do I want to build another brick and mortar? And I didn't want to do that because I wanted to be available for my kids and grandkids. I now have 12, almost 13 grandkids, number 13 due in May. And I wanted to be able to be here on the farm when the kids stop by, when the grandkids want to come over. I just wanted more relaxed work environment. When I had my boutique, I would say, come see me at lunch. But then if somebody came in and needed me, my kids would have to wait. The grandkids would have to wait. It wasn't very professional to have little kids running around. Here, they come and go, and it's on the farm, so they're in and out. But I just wanted to be able to be home with my family. Now, I saw value and realized that the thing I really missed with the last 2 businesses, and the reason that I really enjoyed them, is because I'd learned how to automate and delegate. I'd learned how to put systems in place. I'd learned how to personalize them and how to take the relationships I built and really level those up to build my business. And so I wanted to be able to teach midlife entrepreneurs how to take something, anything that they have in their life that they're madly passionate about, and build it out to a profitable business. And I know that if I could teach them to do the systems, to have all their systems in place and automate and delegate, that they could do that they could actually have a business they're madly passionate about. I started out coaching a few women, teaching them how to build businesses online, and they all got stuck on that tech, right? Like they were like, I love what I'm doing, but I hate the tech. I can't do the tech. I don't even want to learn it. I'm 67 years old. I'm 50. I don't want to learn new tech. And I said, well, I love tech. And so I created a system where I keep it super, super simple. I'm not here to complicate life. I am here to make it simple. I connect everything simply. I have it all running smoothly for you so that my clients can just show up each morning and check and engage in conversations in the DMs and their emails. They can check their calendar and see where they need to be. And then they can just go out and build relationships because their lead magnets, their landing pages, their websites, their workflows all connect. The calendars, the nurture sequences in their emails, their newsletters, everything runs smoothly and is connected for them. And that really just gives them the freedom to be the voice and face of their business.
Yeah, and for sure, Colleen, in the early stages, business owners don't have the time to do all the research that you've done for them on the front end, right? You were talking about the tech stacks and just, not only is there a learning curve in getting all those things set up, but there's a slew of options that all do the same thing, right? And what I love about what you do is you've already done all the research. You've brought the best tools together and compiled them into a package that small business owners can just take and run with. So with that in mind, for someone that's brand new, what are the must-have systems to put in place in, let's say, the first 30 to 60 days so they don't build from a place of chaos as they're just launching out of the gate?
Right. So a simple lead capture, which is going to capture your contacts, and a follow-up process so that nobody's falling through the cracks. You're going to need a calendar or a booking workflow that protects not only making sure that you get to those appointments, but protects your personal time too. You're going to need a basic onboarding path so that clients feel like they're taken care of on a personal level immediately. You're going to need one place that you can track conversations and what the clients or the prospect's next steps are. You don't need 50 different automations. You just need a clean foundation that you can build on. And I love that we said so they don't build on chaos, because it's better to have it done before you need it than it is to need it and not have it done. You want to have all of these things put in place and bring people in one at a time. Maybe you have nobody in there. I have clients who started with 0 people in there and they're building it up. And that's what you do. But they have a process in place that does it for them so that they can continually go out and build relationships while their back end is working for them.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that it's okay to be in that spot, right? I mean, for those watching that, who know who Brendan Burchard is, I mean, he's a very prominent influencer in the leadership and performance development space. New York Times bestselling author, all these things. And he even talks about in the early stages of his business that literally was like him and his parents and his brothers and sisters that were kind of like subscribed, right, to his newsletter and his podcast. So, I mean, all of us, have started small, for the most part. I mean, some of the best success stories, are people that have started out of their garages, with nothing. So that's kind of the beauty of small business and entrepreneurship. And then one of the things that I love about it, taking something from nothing, just an idea, and turning it into something that is just really focused on serving others and delivering value to them.
Right.
So Colleen, so in your experience, what's the biggest myth that you hear about, especially regarding CRMs and automation that really keep entrepreneurs and business owners stuck doing everything manually? Because one, that's a time suck for sure.
It is. So I have 2 myths that I think reign the day here. So the first one is I'm not big enough yet for a CRM. And the truth is, the earlier you set it up, even if it's a super simple system, the faster you can grow because you are now consistent. And so I remember cheering, when I had 27 contacts in my business because I had crossed the 25. I went from 25 to 27 overnight. I was so excited. And then I applied to be a speaker at an event, and they wouldn't let me because I didn't have 1,000 contacts. And I was like, what? And I realized later that the 27 I had, I actually knew. These were people that I was building relationships with. Like I would recognize them different places. They weren't just names on a list where other people may have 1,000, but it's names on a list. And so you need to remember that it's okay to be small. It's okay to be personable. You're building a foundation. That's so important. So the second myth is that automation feels impersonal. And I'm going to say if it's done right, automation is actually more personal because nobody is forgotten if it's done right, right? And what I tell my clients is to take some time and go sit and really put your heart into your automations. Really, the things that maybe you're creating emails today. Really go sit down and write those emails like you're writing to a best friend, like you're sharing the information that you want them to have, that you know your best friend needs to achieve their goal, right? And so you put all that information in there and then you automate it. But taking the time to sit down and do it right, not just ask AI a question and have it send you an email. That's when it becomes impersonal. But sit down and really put your heart into it and then automate the heck out of it. That's the difference. And nobody's forgotten that way. So it's not that it's impersonal.
Yeah, so a couple of things I heard from you. One is quality over quantity, right? Especially in the database. It kind of goes back to what we were just talking about before. It's okay to be small, right? And it's better to have 50 or 100 quality prospects of people that you know, like, and trust. And either one, they'll do business with you, or two, potentially refer business to you, versus to your point, and we all know we can go out and buy a list of 2,500 emails and upload them into a database, but that doesn't mean that, it's really legitimate at the end of the day, or those people are going to do business with you. So definitely appreciate you touching on that, the whole quality over quantity piece. And finally, what does it look like, especially from an empowerment perspective? Because that's what this show is all about. We want to empower people to transform how they lead, work, and live. How does the work that you do empower small business owners to lead better and not just work harder at the end of the day?
Right, sure. So I'm going to bounce back just a second. That quality over quantity. Imagine if you were a business owner in town and you opened your doors, and first thing in the morning when you unlocked your door and opened your business, 27 people came in, and they were either ready to buy from you or ready to tell their friends about you. That's mind-blowing, So that's where the quality over quantity comes in, right? So empowering small business owners. I feel like my entire point and purpose of my business is to empower small business owners. It's to empower them and pave the way so that they can really build a business they're madly passionate about. I empower them by turning their backend of chaos into clear automated systems that they can trust. So when the CRM, the follow-up, the onboarding are all handled, they can stop relying on what they remember and stop relying on themselves to have to be punctual all the time, because these things are happening without them doing anything more. That creates confidence, and then you can market consistently, right? And when you're confident, you show up differently in your business, right? You serve your clients better, and you're able to grow without burning out. So systems are how you actually multiply your impact without multiplying your hours. But when you have all of that running smoothly and you have confidence that the connections are being made, that the nurturing is happening, that the automations are taking place, then you really show up and shine. And that really is empowering to know that your foundation is there. It's like having your entire team behind you and you know that they've got everything covered, right?
Colleen, we've got about 5 minutes left, and I want to put this back up here on the screen. Your free coffee chat. I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that. What is this, and what does that potentially look like? It's really the first step that somebody can take to getting to know you, to meeting you, and to learning about how your framework and your systems can empower them in their businesses. So, what does it look like when somebody signs up for a free coffee chat with you, signs on board with you? What does that process look like?
Sure. So the coffee chat, let's start there. I just came off of one. And so I have two questions when I go into the coffee chat. The first one is, who can I introduce you to that's going to help move the needle in your business? And the second one is, how can I tag you in my CRM so that I can refer you to other people in the way that you want referred? And then we sit down and look at your business, and we start with the question of like, what's the biggest hang up? What's the bottleneck right now? What's the most frustrating thing to you? And then we just dissect that. And so if it could be that we look at it and you're just doing webinars maybe, when you could be doing podcasts and you could be doing speaking at summits and things like that. And so we just sit and talk business and about ways that we can together work to grow your business, right? And then I always go in and show you my back office and some of the tools that I have. Now, one of the things that I use that a lot of people that work inside Go High Level, which is where I work inside, don't use, is I call it my human bot. It can be a chat bot button. You can do it as a chat bot, or you can just pop in and message the word human, and a human will hop up 24/7 to help you with any questions you have. And so for me, that's one of the tools that gives me freedom, but it gives my clients freedom because at any point they can get the help that they need inside their system. And so we go through and I show them that, and I show them that the response time, I literally can type that in and help is there within 2 minutes at the most, right? If you're in most Go High Levels agencies, will refer you to Go High Level help. And the Go High Level tech support will book you an appointment in 3 to 4 days to hop on a Zoom call so that they can help you. And in midlife, I don't want to wait that long. So I provide help the other way. But also, we sit down and go over your goals, where you are, where you want to be, of course, all the things, your branding, your logo, if you have a tagline, if you have a business plan. We go over all of those things in a couple of phone calls. And then, like my recent client did, you can fly to Mexico, sit by the pool and have a few drinks. And when you get back in town, your system will be set up for you and you can launch into the new year just ready to go. I will literally sit down and show them how everything is lined up and how it works and give them the links and off they go. It's that simple.
Well, one more thing, we've got just a few more minutes. You do a lot of free consultations, you have a lot of clients. What would you say is the top challenge that small business owners have? Is it the systems? Is it getting clients? Is it both?
I think it's because they think they have to do everything themselves. I deal with a lot of people who are Gen X and we're like, we got to figure it out on our own. We got to figure it out on our own. And so they keep at that where I'm like, no, that's not how success is built. Success is built by taking somebody who does something really, really good and bringing them into your team to do that for you. And that frees up your time and it makes you look really good.
Yeah, collaboration too, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a Gen Xer like you, and there's definitely, a culture from that generation that, if it's going to be done right, I have to do it. Right. And that's not the case, especially when there are people like you out there that are doing incredible work. So thank you so much, Colleen, for being here for this episode of Lead Empowered TV. I'm so excited about your work and the people that this video podcast is going to deliver to you. So thank you again for being here. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Appreciate it.